Because this was an equation with a root. This one, they told you it was the formula, not supposed to tell you it's the formula and use the formula, you'll just have to use it automatically. And then that last one has got completing the square, which is all sums that you've got to write on early next week. Alright, so if I have a sum that's got a square root in it, what's the first rule? Isolate the root. Meaning that this becomes?
Negative x negative 1.
No, it doesn't matter if you swap them around, that's fine, but both are negative. Then what's the rule? You square it. Once the root is isolated, you square it. So you got 1 mark so far. And then this would be just 5 minus x, because the root and the square root cancel each other out. When you square it and root it again, you've done nothing. But if you square that, the answer is not x squared plus 1. Common error. You've got to time that out twice. You've got to write minus x minus 1 minus x minus 1 twice to see what the answer would be. So it's 5 minus x on this side. Minus x times minus x is x squared. Minus times a minus is a plus 1x and another plus 1x. And then 1 times 1 is plus 1 as well. So you have got a what type of an equation here? Quadratic, so you've got to get it equal to 0. Which side? It doesn't matter. So the side that the x squared was positive, I'll leave it on that side and get x squared. So now we've got 2x plus another 1x will give me 3x, and then the plus 1 minus the 5 gives me negative 4. Are there any factors?
Yes.
1 times 1 for the 1, and 2 times 2, that's not going to work. 4 and 1. Cross multiply, getting to plus 3 by saying plus, minus, minus, plus. So the factors are x minus 1 and x plus 4. So that your answers for x would be, x is either 1 or x is negative 4. And what must you not forget?
Test it.
You have to test it. Most kids stop you because you're so excited that you've got your 2x answers. Not, you've got to go test. If you go back to the top and substitute for x with 1, then this means root 4, which is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3, minus another 1 is not 0. So that one can't work. You just have to say it isn't. On that side, we've got another minus 4. So 5 minus minus 4 is 5 plus 4, which is 9. Square root of 9 is 3. 3 plus 1 is 4. And then minus 4, that's the one that works. It's not always the negative one that works. For some reason, kids think that because of it being a root. That's the one that works. The only solution is x is equal to negative 4. So if you didn't indicate that this wasn't an answer, you lost 1 mark. Most probably 5 or 6 mark question, you lose 1 mark if you don't test. Let's have a look at number 2e. So before you can start any which way, now just say solve for x without telling you that you've got to work with the formula. You would have done what? Distributive law, yes. 8x squared plus 16x, distributively timing it in. I'm still seeing a what type of an equation? Quadratic. So I'm going to take it to the right hand side because there's the biggest positive. Positive x squared is going to become negative x squared that side. Then the 16x squared is nothing added to it, and then the negative 2 on the right hand side. And try as you may, 1 and 7 and 1 and 2 is not going to give you 16 if you try and factorize it. This one. Thank you. Negative 2 there, so this will be a negative and this will also be a negative. Everybody on there? Yes. Right. If you did try and factorize, you didn't get any factors for it. That will want to work to get you to negative 16. So you've got to go work with the formula. Nobody has to say to you, use the formula.
Dames en heren, ik vraag dat laatste met drukje handen, want we moeten misschien alsjeblieft kom zien dat het weet wie er is. Laatste met drukje handen, kom zien alsjeblieft.
You've got a formula that you must know of by heart. You don't have to show me the ABC there. I'm going to see it in here. So that your B value is negative 16. your b squared is going to be negative 16 squared, which is going to become a plus. Please use brackets. And then negative 4 times a, which was 7, c, which is negative 2, and a again, which is 7. Then I only need to see your answers. The question said 1 decimal, which is strange because usually we say, when necessary, 2 decimals. So they definitely wanted in 1 decimal. So if you give me 2, I'm going to have to penalize you. Answer the question. So if I do the sum and I want it in root form, can I have root answers first, please? If you did get them.
8 plus root 78 over 7.
78 over 7, yeah. Or then the other one would be?
The opposite.
Okay. And then those answer, what would the nature of the roots be? Just thinking about it. I didn't ask you for that. But if I ask you now for the nature of the roots, they are?
Unequal.
Real. Irrational because they've got roots in them. And?
Unequal.
Unequal because there are?
Two options.
What does it mean? It's the x-intercepts of a
Parabola.
parabola. That's what I'm actually busy with. But now if I leave an answer there, I'm going to lose marks because I didn't give it in. So decimals. So the two answers are?
Sorry.
Decimal answer, please.
What is cut?
2,40.
40, so it's just going to be 2 over 4 because I want 1 decimal. And?
Negative 0.
Yeah, you did 0, comma?
Comma 1.
Sure?
Comma 1. Yes.
Okay? Just double check for me, please. Alright, how many marks for such a sum? 4, 5. 4, 5. Right? It's get it equal to 0, use the formula, get the two answers. Could even just be 4 in a metric paper. Right, by question number D, the last one for the revision. If you have to go do completing the square. If I just said solve for x, you would have first tried to factorize with 1 times 2 and 1 times 5 and try to get the 3. And if it works, then that's what you do. The sum said I must do completing the square even if there are factors or not. So for completing the square, I need this x squared to have a coefficient of 1. So what am I going to do with that 2?
Take the 2 out.
Okay, now I like what you're doing because your teacher told you well. If you wanted to divide the whole thing by 2, are you allowed?
Yes. Because it's
But I'm trying to
equation.
teach you whether there's an equal to 0 or not, you're going to do the same principle. Let's take out the common 2. No, man, there's not really a common 2. But I'm forcing this in a specific way. I want to take that 2 term and make it a 3 term so that I can have a bracket square. That's what the whole purpose is for. So taking out the 2, what must this now be?
Plus 3 over 2.
3 over 2x. How do I know I'm right? Because 3 over 2 times 2 over 1 will cancel out so that I'm left with originally the 3x. What about that minus 5? Just let it stand there on the other side of the bracket. Now I'm looking for the mystical number that I must add in here. How do I get that number? You take the
Over 2
coefficient 3 over 2 and
times a
times
half.
half and
Square it.
So it's 3 over 4 squared, which gives me,
9 over 16.
which is always a plus, right? Because if I do this squaring thing, it can't be anything else than a plus. What was really added to the sum?
9 over
9 over 8. You're very good. Because that inside the bracket where you're adding this was timed with outside the bracket with 2. So 2 times 9 over 16 is either 18 over 16 or 9 over 8, whether you simplify or not. So if you've added the 9 over 8, then you've got a
Add immediately.
minus, or add it on the right hand side, or then subtract it on this side to legalize. So now to finalize the completion of the square, and please don't forget the square, this is what it's all about.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, completing the square. Then the routine is, it would be whatever there is there, square rooted. X squared, square rooted is x. The sign of the middle one, which is plus, of that 3 term, and there's the third one, you square it again and you get
3 over 4.
3 over 4. And this one added together is I right? So we add them together. Quickly do LCD, what? Now, finished. No.
No.
If this didn't have an equal to 0, and I just said complete the square, you were finished. And then most probably my question would have been, what is the
Turn.
minimum or maximum? Because that's what it represents. Getting to them a little bit later, this is going to be a parabola in turning point format. Then you're going to know something about the turning point there. But for now, if I ever ask you, don't do this, don't do an equation, just get me the maximum or minimum, that must let you think about completing the square, because there's my maximum or minimum. Maximum, if it's a frowny face, but this is going to be a smiley face. That ax squared plus bx plus c, so it's still a x minus b plus q there. So it's going to be a minimum value of that. But now that wasn't the question. The question was
For X.
for x. Now the technique here is, how many variables do I now have? One. Originally, how many did I have? There were 2 x's. With this technique, I now only have 1. So now get that 1 alone. What must you do? First, take this across. Then, divide by 2. Then, square root with a plus minus. Then,
Take that side
negative
over.
3/4. That's the technique. Always. It's order of operation in reverse. If you did the sum, you'd first add, then square, then time, then minus. Now to get it away, you're going to do it exactly in that opposite order. So that'll be 49 over 8, right? Then it's going to become 16 because you're going to divide by 2, meaning it's times with a half, so that'll be 49 over 16. Calculator. That answer divide by 2 will give you this answer. Then you have to square root, and the moment you square root it yourself,
Plus or minus.
plus minus. So this will give me plus or minus the root of 49 over 16, but 49 is a perfect square. 7. And 16 also. 4. What does this tell me about the sum? They are rational answers. They should have been factors. If I had gone here with 1 and 2 and 1 and 5, I would have gotten factors. And I wouldn't gotten the answer. And how many marks would I have gotten? 9. Because I'm asking you for completing the square. Right. So the answer here would have been negative 3/4 plus or minus 7 over 4. So can I go on with the sum? You have to. You have to simplify. So the one answer would be negative 3/4 plus 7 over 4. The other one is negative 3/4 minus 7 over 4, and that you just take your calculator and work that out. This is 1 calculator, and this would be negative 11 over 4. So there are your factors that should have been given. And if you have the new calculator and you put in the A and the B and the C, these would have been your 2 answers with nothing in between. And you just say that the 2 brackets should have been x minus 1 and 4x plus 11. But that's a technique you have to get used to if you've got that new calculator. So that's the revision. So we're going to start with inequalities next.
Yo.